everyone, Pete Wilson, Australian High Country Photography. For this YouTube episode, I'm doing something different. Not only is it different, it's also something that I've never done before. So I'm going to film a short video talking a little bit about the high country and the fact that I spend so much time up here reminiscing about what life might have been like, let's say 100 years ago. The short answer to that question is that it was very different. So as you would have seen from the photos at the beginning of this episode, I'm actually at Coolamine Homestead this morning, and as I'm filming this, I am sitting on the front porch of Campbell House, otherwise known as Coolamine Homestead. We've got the Campbell House here right where I'm sitting, and over to my right or to your left is Southwell House. I come here far more often than I ever let on. First time I came here was around 1978-79, so many years ago. I love coming here and just reminiscing and thinking about what life might have been like all those years ago. Let's say maybe back in around the 1930s. A very different time to which we live now, and to which I grew up in, even, for that matter. The very first time I came here was with Tom Taylor and some other friends of ours and my parents, my brother. Tom told us a bit about the history of this place, and in fact he is actually mentioned on the wall in here of Campbell House. I've been sitting here for over an hour, as I said, just reminiscing really. During that time there was another couple came by, and as you do, had a little chat. And I'd been sitting here thinking about how good it would be to actually live here. And it was quite interesting because when I first came here, I remember thinking the same thoughts, how interesting it would have been to have lived here, away from the noise and hustle and bustle of modern 2026 life. How different it must have been. And without me saying anything, the gentleman that I was speaking to, he basically said the same thing of the thoughts I'd been having about how amazing it must have been and how amazing it would be to live here. Of course, Coolamine Homestead is in the north end of Kosciuszko National Park. And as such, being a national park, you can't live here. But the good news is that you can visit. And that's a wonderful thing. These buildings have been restored. When I first came here 50 years ago, they were somewhat dilapidated. Thank you to the people who worked tirelessly to do those repairs so that people like me can come and visit. I want that on the record as saying thank you for that. But just thinking about what life might have been like, I can tell you one thing, it would have been very harsh. There wasn't many easy ways of getting around. It was either walking or horseback. And I often think back to stories that I've heard and that I've read over the years. And one such story is that of Tom and Molly Taylor in preparation for their wedding. So my understanding is that Tom must have perhaps already been down in Tumut. I don't know that for sure, but what I do know from the reading that I read about this story was that Molly rode a horse from what I believe was out here somewhere to Rules Point, out on where Snowy Mountains Highway is now, to then catch the mail coach or stagecoach through to Tumut to prepare for her wedding. And I imagine that stories like that back in the day would have been, common. I sort of think of that sort of story as being, oh wow, what an adventure just in itself. But of course, that's what they knew. That's how they did things. And it's when I come to places like this that I start thinking about those wonderful stories and times gone by of what life must have been like pre this area being a national park. Back in those days, this was all grazing country, and there were sheep, horses and cattle. The area was grazed during the warmer months, and then in the winter the stock would be moved down to lower ground out of the cold, and then would come back up here again in the warmer months. Such a different time. Anyway, as you probably know if you've been following me for some time on Facebook or even some of my YouTube videos, I spend a lot of time in the north end of Kosciuszko National Park. And if you ever want to access this area, please come and enjoy it and respect it for what it is. Just be of note, mindful though, that the road into here along Long Plain Road is closed between the end of the June long weekend until the opening of the October long weekend. So if you're planning on coming real soon, maybe rethink that and leave it until October in 2026, as I'm filming this video towards the end of May 2026. Can I say it's definitely worth a visit. What I would be really interested in is if you have been here, if you have visited the north end of Kosciuszko National Park and gone to such places as, let's say, Kurringo or Old Kurringo, or indeed here at Coolamine, or perhaps even just to Long Plain Hut or Cooinville Hut, or many of the others around. If you've been in this area, what thoughts and what patterns in your mind run through your mind when you're here? Do you think about what life must have been like for the people that were here, or is it just me that thinks that? Be really interested if you can drop me a comment. Tell me what you think about the north end of Kosciuszko National Park. I know there's things happening up here that we don't all agree with, but at the end of the day, it's still an amazing part of Australia's history and heritage, and definitely worth a visit in my view. Don't forget, leave me a comment to let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed something different from me this morning in regards to a YouTube episode. I just wanted to do something different and tell you a little bit about this beautiful high country this morning. It's a beautiful morning up here. We've got blue sky, virtually no wind, and just going to spend the majority of the day just taking the serenity of this place in. There's been very little wildlife about this morning. Bit of bird life though, but apart from that, not much. And it's very quiet, but lovely. Anyway, I look forward to reading your comments. and I hope you find this video interesting. Have a good day and thanks for watching. Please like the video if you did like. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I drop my next video, and by being subscribed to my channel you'll get a notification when it's out, and then you might like to follow along on some more of my high country adventures. Thanks for watching.